What's up, world? Welcome back to the Pause, Rewind, Play podcast. Once again, we are here in my office room where my wife works from home, and we're recording a great episode tonight. We have our standard cast, Josh.
Hey, go 49ers.
Vince.
You're setting up an expectation that I hope we can fill.
What do you mean an expectation that you hope we can fill?
You just said we're filming a great episode and we haven't even started. I hope that we don't mess this up.
Well, I also said, if I said filming, we're not recording anything.
I might have said, I
probably said it, though. That's the thing, is I think I had a stroke the other day, and everything I've been saying has been backwards. Like, the other day, I literally walked out to my car, and I said, like, door lock, instead of, like, lock the door type thing, and I've been, like, saying everything backwards, and then I'm just like, I think I'm broken.
Maybe we should stop the episode and get Casey to a hospital?
But I haven't been smelling anything that's, like, burning or anything like that, so I think I'm okay, and, like, I still have full use of my left arm, which I think is a sign that if you have a stroke, right?
That's lucky that you still have your left arm.
Yeah, no one would ever know if I had a stroke.
Yeah.
If I only had
no
a
one
right
would ever
arm.
know you were having a heart attack.
Yeah, I'd be SOL.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, guys, we have a guest. Vince, introduce your guest.
We got someone from a professional and very respected,
prestigious
podcast with us tonight. We got Trevor from the Chat Pack. Yay!
Yay! And the crowd goes mild. What's up, Vince? Thanks for having me on, guys. Vince, I'd appreciate more confidence that this is going to be a great episode. So,
we brought Trevor, like, is it not already good enough for you, Vince?
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Trevor, tell us about the Chat Pack a little bit.
Yeah, the Chat Pack podcast is a show that I do with a couple of my friends that it actually started while we were, juniors or seniors at Ohio University. We used to just broadcast on Twitch right from our living room, sit on the couches, talk about some things. And then after we graduated, we kind of got, into life a little bit and forgot about it for a couple of years. And then we recently revived it. And we're all in different parts of the country now, so we have to record remotely, which is always an interesting adventure. But yeah, it's just a podcast of me and my friends. So
it's really funny too. I listen to it like every week.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Be sure to check them out.
So, yeah.
Shameless plug. Go check it out.
You should check it out. I'll check it out because I have no idea anything about it. So I want to go and be surprised and entertained.
So anyway, thanks for joining us, Trevor, and that's all we needed you for. So
cool. All right. See you guys later.
It was just for the plug.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out. No, I'm just kidding. Guys, what are we talking tonight? I'm so excited about this.
I'm stoked.
Casey doesn't know. It's just a surprise for
This is a surprise for me. I watched 10 movies this week, and they said, we're going to randomly select one of the 10 movies on your watch list and watch it ourselves, and here is our podcast.
Hopefully.
It's actually a good idea.
I hope you got the right one.
No, actually, we probably shouldn't just dive into the movie. We haven't talked about what we've been watching yet. There's a couple of things I skipped.
I have something to say.
Oh, speak.
I saw Parasite. We did our Oscar
moving
picks,
right along.
and I saw Parasite, and now I want to change my best original screenplay.
Did you put Parasite for it?
No.
Oh.
But I think that's going to be the one that wins.
I'm so happy that you think that, especially with what we talked about earlier
Yeah,
with Parasite.
so I saw Parasite. I did not love it. I liked it. I didn't understand the hype, and I thought to myself when it ended, I don't know why this is an Oscar-nominated movie. Turns out I'm just not smart enough for the movie. I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and it's a very smart movie with a lot of symbolism in it that went way over my head. And it's still not on my best of 2019 list, but I think that the best thing I can say about it is how unpredictable it was at every turn. And when I went in and I looked at all the, was told what all the symbolism is, I can respect what it is, and I think that it may be the one that gets that.
And shout out to that cast, because none of the actors specifically have really been nominated for a lot of things, but as a cast they did an amazing thing, and they did win the Ensemble Acting Award at the recent SAG Awards. So
that's awesome. I loved the dad in it. He was my favorite part.
He's really good. And also, it's so much more funny than you think it would be. Like
That
people,
was my problem with it. I didn't know what the movie was. It was a thriller for a second, then it was a comedy for a second, then it was a horror for a second, and then it was not. It was
well, that's what people have been saying. They say it just like kind of defies genres. There's no specific genres, and so they've started calling it a comedy thriller. Is like the semi like
What
what
a
people
kriller.
have decided what that it is.
Did you see
or
it?
a thромedy?
No.
A dramedy. There we go. The new genre, the
A
dramedies.
dramedy. I did not see it.
Which also, fun fact, Bong Joon-ho, after, they released it and everything, he said a better name for the movie would have been, in English, would have been Parasites instead of Parasite.
I
Fun
get
fact
that.
Friday.
I can see that.
Does that change your opinion of the movie, Vince?
Yeah, if they would have named it Parasites,
It would have
then
been number
changed
one.
Everything. It'd be my favorite movie of the year.
There we go. Well, there you have
The
it.
title makes all the difference.
So that's what I watched. I watched Parasite.
Sweet. Casey, what did you watch?
Well, my wife got me into watching Scandal, which is a series on the television or Netflix or whatever you want to call it. It's pretty interesting. I don't know. The politics behind it is fun. I watched something else I really wanted to talk about. Oh, I'm watching Chef's Table again.
Well, that's always solid.
Oh, yeah. If you want to know, there's tons of books in this room, and 60% of them are food books, and 50% of them... that's not even good math. 110% of the books in this room. I had 2 bad weeks of math now, guys. And I'm in a freaking math class right now at school. No, 40% of them are also, like, hustling books, like business books. So, I mean, that's all I do is business and cooking.
And Hunger Games.
And
Well, a lot of, like, this
And
is
I
a
think I
combo of my
see-
wife, Maya Antonia, an object of beauty.
I was about to say, like, because I know you've got TCAM in here, like, what's To Kill a Mockingbird, like, between those two?
Oh, To Kill a Mockingbird is most definitely a book on entrepreneurship.
There you go.
Yeah. I really don't know. I'm only halfway through it, again, as an adult. Josh, what have you been watching?
Nothing really. I obviously watched Blade Runner for...
Oh,
Blade
did we
Runner
ever
2049.
officially
Sorry.
announce
Oh,
that's
sorry.
what
We're
tonight?
watching Blade Runner.
That's what I watched.
Should I cut it?
The Town.
Oh, The Town.
oh,
Did you want to talk about that? I mean, okay. Ready? Here's finish it up. I watched Blade Runner for this. I did a ton of homework, and so the only other thing I watched was like random episodes of The Office. There you go.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah,
Josh
right.
watched The Office.
I did go see 1917 again in the theater in like XD, which is what they call it at Cinemark. So it's kind of like IMAX, but not like totally IMAX.
Extra deep.
And it was still definitely worth it.
What? Did you say extra deep?
XD, extra deep. Like,
XD.
I don't know.
What do you think XD stands
Extra depth into the movie. Maybe there's like, I'm talking like depth into the filmmaking process here. This is a family show. I actually don't know if it is classified as a family
Let's just
show.
move on. Trevor, what did you see?
Yeah, Trevor, what did you watch?
What did I watch? I gotta say, I've been watching a lot of The Great British Baking Show.
Hey.
Which,
my brother-in-law would love you.
It's pretty good. I can't say that I've been watching it by choice, but it's been cool because I've been able to beat Luigi's Mansion 3 while I've been watching that in the background. But I was going to say that now it's been a while since this premiered, but I got to watch like half of Legion Season 3.
Woo.
And that show is just, I think it's one of my favorite superhero, like anything that's ever been made. Like it's super interesting, and I'm saying that having not seen the back half of season 3, so I'm excited to see the rest of that. But it's good. Definitely check it out if you guys
That
haven't.
show is bonkers. I
It's
love
awesome.
it. I can't wait to see season 3. I'm just waiting for it to pop up on Hulu.
Isn't Legion like where X-Men are bad? Like Professor X's kids are bad?
Well, I mean, you might know more about it
No,
than
you
I
go.
do, Vince. But Legion is one of the X-Men characters. David Haller is Legion. And so the story focuses on him. But one of the cool things they did with the show was they didn't follow any of like the actual comic book, like any of the actual comic book stories, any of the big stories that have had him in it. They just made like an original story using like the same kind of setting and characters and everything. And every time I watch it, like Vince said, it's bonkers. And every time I watch it, I'm just like, how did Disney or Marvel or whoever allow this to be made?
I think
because it's
I think
amazing.
FX made it, right?
Yeah, I guess, but it's a Marvel production or whatever.
But it was
a Marvel
owned by
Association.
Fox at the time.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So they kind of like I don't think they really knew what they were doing with their X-Men franchise, because when Legion came out, that was also when I think they announced, or at least it's the same general time period, was when they announced that Maisie Williams one that still hasn't come out. Oh,
The New Mutants.
Yeah, New Mutants, which is like a horror.
I have bad feelings
and then
about
Logan
that.
came out too. They were like experimenting with their X-Men franchise, and they released Legion, which is in the X-Men universe, but it's not the generic superhero. It's like Wes Anderson meets X-Men meets
It's crazy.
just crazy.
Well,
if
I
you want a
better watch
mind
it.
game, Josh, I think you'd like it. Lots of like confusing symbolism and that kind of stuff you're into.
It's like that scene from Doctor Strange, but just the whole show.
The entire show is just like that one crazy scene. And Aubrey Plaza's in it too, isn't she?
Yeah, and that might
always a
be
seller.
my favorite role that I've ever seen her in, because she kind of, without any spoilers, she like flips between kind of the good and the bad throughout the show, and she just does an amazing job of it. Like, her acting in that show is just crazy. Like,
Yeah,
I think she was made for that role.
She's so good.
She's so good, and she's also hilarious. She's been putting out like stuff because for the second year she's hosting, I think it's called the Spirit Awards, which is like another awards season thing, which is the night before the Oscars on the 8th. And recently her and Bill Murray, they put out an ad for it where they were like pretending to be the guys in Lighthouse. So they're pretending to be Willem Dafoe and Robert
I need to
Pattinson from
see
that
that.
movie, like, and doing like a promo for it. It was pretty funny.
I definitely got to check that out.
That sounds great.
There we go.
Well,
Well, now I know, and I'm kind of interested. I just want to put it on my list somehow of wherever it is and watch it.
do it. You'll like it.
The way you
We got
described
rid of the
it,
sticky note.
Oh, the sticky notes. Where are the sticky notes?
yeah, get them back here. Actually,
Whiteboards.
I don't know where they are. It's okay.
Well, season 1 and 2 of Legion, I think, is on Hulu. So anyone who wants to check it out.
And 3 comes out in like April, I think. I've been
Fingers
like
crossed.
watching every month. I'm like, it's got to be coming up soon, and it never comes up soon.
Not soon enough.
Not soon enough.
Well, I'm sorry it's not here yet. But I haven't started, so it's okay. It's like all those Game of Thrones fans who are like, we can binge 7 seasons, and those was like, ah. That's all.
Oh, whoa.
Yep.
I'm going a little crazy here. But, Josh, we're going to talk Blade Runner 2049 tonight. Let's kind of jump into it. Tell me, you have a summary and a tweet tonight.
I do. We're bringing back something from the original days. We're doing a summary and a tweet. And this is summary and a tweet from me who, I don't know, I think all of you guys have seen Blade Runner before, 2049, yes?
That's
Yeah.
why we're here.
This is my first time seeing Blade Runner
Wait,
2049.
really?
Yep.
This is one of the
we're
reasons-
related, and we never watched this before. This is one of my favorite films.
I know.
There's 2 reasons that I wanted to do this. Number 1, I found out Josh had never seen it. Number 2, Trevor's a super fan.
Ooh.
So I've been wanting to get him to travel down to the south to do this for a long time.
A great journey.
I
right.
made the pilgrimage out here.
Well, then, with this summary and a tweet, let's see if we get any conversation topics going forward and any controversy. My Blade Runner 2049 summary and a tweet is: Villeneuve and Deakins fly us through their gorgeous monochromatic world and dare us to accept police brutality, only police flying cars, and robot human sex in the name of larger-than-life visuals and music, which distracts us from the lack of a basic storyline and character development.
Whoa.
Go.
Can you click back a few steps on that?
I don't know where to start.
Just push X
Did-
on your keypad
Hold
and
on.
go all the way back.
Did you not like this movie?
This movie was really, really pretty. And it had good score too. It had a good score too. And the movie, I did not dislike the movie. I thought it was like a fine, really pretty, like action movie.
Let me read you a quote from, or go ahead, Trevor.
What?
Oh, I thought you had something you wanted to say. You leaned in like you did. Let me read
No,
you a
I'm just-
quote
I'm
from
just
Villeneuve
mad.
himself.
Okay, but I also will preface this, which I know this is never good for watching a movie, but I did watch this movie in like 3 separate pieces. So like you can like bash me and say like that I miss like the continuity of the story by doing that. And so I won't doubt that could possibly be something that played into it. But I also thought that the basic storyline and everything was just meh, because like I understand that the world itself is very interesting, but the point of this one was not to like bring forth this new world and show what it is. Like the Blade Runner world has already been established.
Right.
It's to do something new with it.
And they did. They introduced such like interesting, like self-reflective and just like what is a soul, and who are we as people? Are we just memories, or are we actually something more than that? Like, it introduces such deep philosophical ideas that you can just like kind of explore and think about. That's what I love about it. Like what are we? Are we better if we? Oh man, I don't know where to start.
There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack there.
Let me read this quote to you, and because this is from
Josh. You broke.
Just read it to all of us,
this
okay?
is from
Not me.
Villeneuve himself. He says that while still proud of the film, he realized afterwards that he had made the most expensive art house movie in cinema history, and he knew it would be a huge financial flop, or huge financial risk, not flop. So even after the movie, he just recognized that he may have put in a little too much flying the car around the city, a little too much. I mean, it's my whole complaint with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Too much driving up and down the street. But the difference is, I love this sci-fi. I love looking at this, whereas I have no like nostalgia towards downtown Hollywood in the 60s.
People were so surprised when it win the production design Oscar?
Which movie?
Blade Runner?
Blade Runner, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember because I know that
it
won 2.
It won visual effects and it won cinematography.
Oh, yeah, it only won 2. So people were, I remember because I thought this was it, but I didn't want to speak incorrectly. People were super surprised when it didn't win the best production design. As
So
well.
it was nominated for best cinematography, best visual effects, best sound editing, best sound mixing, and best production design.
Yeah, I remember people were super surprised. Like, it was a lead front runner for production design, and people were super surprised when that didn't happen.
Who do you know what won it? I should have looked it up.
I'll check it out while you guys talk about it.
Oh man, well you've just thrown me off my game tonight. So
I'm surprised because like you said, like too many scenes of like the car flying through, you know, the solar fields and the city and whatever, and like that's one of my favorite things about this movie and why I geek out about it so much, because I'm like and I even read, I was surprised, well, I guess I shouldn't say surprised, but I read that the original cut of the movie was like well over 4 hours, and they split it into 2 parts for test screenings, and they debated releasing 2 movies, and Villeneuve eventually cut it down to what is it, 2 hours and almost 3 hours or whatever it is. And oh yeah, there we go again.
yeah, sorry.
No, anyways,
Gotta eat that mic. Sorry.
So they cut it down to just under 3 hours, and even with that, I'm shocked that like he still was able to leave like scenes like that where he just lets the movie kind of breathe a little bit, like these big long sprawling shots of like just the wasteland that is, you know, LA and things like that, and like even though he had to cut so much out of the movie, he still felt that those were like necessary scenes that needed to be in there. And I think that it adds to the whole film, is just like you have these scenes of just reflection where it's just like you just sit and enjoy like the scene. Like it's just, it gets time to breathe, you know. It's not just like go for 3 hours straight like some of the Marvel movies and things like that come to mind. So,
and I'd agree, because like it does give it that time to breathe, as well as they're gorgeous. They're some of the most beautiful shots of the whole movie, or is when that happens. And so obviously like the entire movie can't be that, but without it, the movie's too fast paced and too like sort of hyperventilating, just one thing after another.
And you weren't
And so
into
I
the
enjoyed
mystery of who he was, like whether or not he was his chosen child.
I was,
twist is so
I don't know,
good.
I was into it, but like,
Did you see the original Blade Runner?
no, I did not.
Okay.
Sorry. I did watch like a synopsis and stuff before, so I wasn't totally out of the loop.
in the
Right.
dark.
So the first time I watched this, I'd actually only seen half of the original Blade Runner. But my friend and I, we were working an event in Seattle. We went and saw it at the Cinerama up in Seattle, which is this super cool, giant theater up there. It's amazing. So if anyone goes to Seattle, go watch a movie in the Cinerama. You can get drinks there, food, about anything you want. It's there. But we went and watched it, and we watched it on this huge screen. Like, I kid you not, it felt like we were in a football stadium, and it was just gigantic. And I had, like I said, only seen part of it, and Flip and I were just like, we're going to watch this. It's going to be awesome. And he just treated me to a fun night of, you know, seeing this movie. And it was so big, so beautiful. And that's, I think, what does it. I don't know what, did you watch it on your TV, if you watched it on your phone, but the experience for me is really what guided me along this story and kept me involved, was the experience I had in the theater, and that's where I became such a fanboy of the movie and then of the cinematography and everything.
And that's what I was saying. I was like, it was gorgeous. I've seen most of the other movies that were in the best cinematography category that year, and I guess we're sort of doing a Rogers Deacon back-to-back thing, because one of our other most recent episodes was 1917. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. Everything with the lighting, everything with the different scenes and the different characters being monochromatic. It was gorgeous. It's just, for me, that felt like that was
too much.
90% of the movie was that, which is don't get me wrong, I loved it, and so that's sort of what I said in the tweet, was that it's gorgeous,
right,
it's beautiful and everything, but all of that is making up for a lackluster storyline.
I disagree though.
Oh, no, I sound like an idiot.
Sorry. I disagree though. I think that the story is really intriguing and interesting, and it in telling this story, it also introduces ideas that are in themselves something really interesting to explore, like the difference between a replicant and say a cyborg, or not even a cyborg, a computer projected image, with Kay,
his girlfriend,
and his girlfriend, and what makes a human. Is it, like I said, is it our memories or is it our experiences? Because we have these man-made humans essentially that we look down on as being just toys or robots, through the whole thing. They're treating these replicants as the low of the low, lower than slaves. They call them skin jobs and talk down on them and throw things at them. They just don't respect these things at all. Yet they're having these super emotional, beautiful human experiences where they can find them, So it introduces these ideas that are what is humanity? And if we create something that can also create life, does that make them equal to us? Even though we are the ones who created them, does that make us a god, And that's kind of the idea of, what's his name? Wayland? Not Wayland. That's Aliens. Wallace. He considers himself a god through the whole thing. He
That's putting it lightly,
right? He references he calls the replicants his angels. He never says I'm a god, but he's playing God through the whole thing, and all he wants to do is take this creation that he has and create and be able to upgrade them enough to create more life. He's he wants to be a god, And it just I love these ideas, and I love the mystery behind it, and I love following Kay and his journey to figuring out who he is. Is he just a replicant, or is he something more, something that hasn't been around before? And then at the same time, just world building, building in a really beautiful, interesting way. Seeing this just dystopian 80s neon version of the future that we get is just so fun to see. And I don't know, I love everything about it.
So kind of to that point, I'm in the same boat as Casey, where the first time I saw this movie, it's actually one of the few movies that I specifically remember seeing in theaters, because I was just so impressed seeing it on the big screen, seeing it in theaters. It was just a spectacle, just amazing. And so this time around, watching it for this, I tried to block all of that out and really focus on Josh was talking about the script and everything, and maybe I was just blinded by this amazing cinematography the first time around. But the movie, I'm super impressed that the movie doesn't really waste anything. And especially with the lines, and I think part of it is that Kay's character is supposed to be this kind of unfeeling replicant, and so he's very short and direct, but all of the script and the visuals don't waste anything, because an example to what you're saying, Vince, is with Joy, you see midway through the movie an advertisement for her essentially, and it shows this giant, pink, naked lady or whatever. And in that, you realize that Kay has edited his, well, it's sort of assumptuous, but Kay has made his version of Joy be almost less sexual, because he just wants a companion, and she's able to provide that. And something that backs up that assumption is that when they're out in the rain, she says something along the lines of, "I love you so much," and all he says is, "You don't have to say that," which just backs up that he has changed her to be just his companion, and he doesn't need that over the top, like sexual whatever she originally was intended to be. And the movie does that with literally like 15 seconds of her in the giant ad and then that one line. And it's like, and you're able to draw all of that from just that. So like the whole movie doesn't waste anything, you know, like, and there's just tons of examples like that. It's really cool.
So suck it, Josh.
Fine.
Wait, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. But also, you're wrong.
No,
But also, I understand. It's like, it's the very first time I watched it, and I did watch it in parts. And so, like, I definitely, like, didn't notice that. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's
so
cool.
here's our purpose for tonight. We are going to change your mind about this movie.
I don't think you can do that. Like, I definitely will say that. You'll say things, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, like, I definitely, like, thought that was better. And don't get me wrong. I'm not here saying this was a bad movie. It was a good movie. It's just, like, for me, it wasn't, like, a great, amazing movie.
I respect your opinion, and now I understand how you felt when I said I didn't love Parasite.
It's true. When Vince first walked in and he was like, I saw Parasite. He's like, I don't know why it's Oscar nominated. I was like, what? It freaked out. Also, I know that everyone probably did it, like, the opposite way. But when I started watching Blade Runner, since it was my first time, I watched Blade Runner, and I was like, hey, this is the girl from Knives Out. Even though I'm sure everyone else watched Knives Out, and they're like, oh, this is the girl from Blade Runner.
What is her name?
Which girl?
It's like Anna
the girl who plays
Damaris or
Joy.
something.
Yeah, Anna de Armas.
De Armas, yeah.
Okay, so before we get into the movie, I just want to go through a couple of things. First off, we already talked about this. It was directed by Denis Villeneuve, written by Hampton Fancher and Michael Green. Released October 6, 2017 with a budget of $150 million, and it has grossed $260 million. Rotten Tomatoes gave it
$150 million? That's so expensive.
It's so expensive, and
It's beautiful.
Chump
Though.
change.
It is.
well, it's like Christopher Nolan. Like Villeneuve doesn't like CGI, so a lot of that budget went into model making and actual props, and like the car is real. The car actually drives. The car actually has windshield wipers that wipe. You know, and they hired the Weta Workshop to make all these models. Like really cool behind the scenes features on this one, guys. Definitely worth watching.
I did watch, like, it was crazy how much wasn't, because I watched it, I'm like, wow, they did like so many crazy visual effects on this. And then I did watch like a behind the scenes YouTube video, and so much of the stuff that was actually there and not fake. I was like,
yeah,
wow.
I love directors like this who just understand that like CGI works, but getting a real life like set, building a real life set that the actors can see and play off of and everything and exist in that world, you can just tell the difference. And the visuals, you can just tell the difference in the visuals, man.
And from what I've heard, Denis Villeneuve, is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
He is actually like pretty against CGI and stuff like that. Like he was like, anything we can do practical, we're doing practical, because I'm not about that.
Which is a good reason, like he's easily jumping up in my list of favorite directors, for these reasons right
he's
here.
good. What else is he doing? Not to like go too far from the movie.
He's
what
doing
else
the
is he
next
doing
Dune.
recently? Ooh, right.
Yes, they're bringing it back. Yes, I love Dune. Yes, yes.
And who better to do it than this guy, man? Like,
Based
I
off
can't
of
wait.
this, yes. I'm so excited now. We can go home. I'm out of here. I'm already home, but whatever.
Get out of my house. So this movie's starring Ryan Gosling, Anna de Armas, and she's the one from Knives Out that we've been talking about, who plays Joy. Mackenzie Davis, who is an actress that, along with the girl, oh my gosh, I just spaced her name, from Euphoria and Spider-Man. Zendaya. Those two are like rising up in my favorite actor categories so fast. Mackenzie Davis is so good in Terminator Dark Fate. Terminator Dark Fate is a really fun movie.
Michael.
Harrison Ford is also in this, if you didn't know.
What?
Robin Wright.
I was pretty surprised when he didn't show up until like halfway through the movie.
Yeah, like 3/4 of the way
That
in.
made it so good. We can talk about it later.
And then Jared Leto is also in this movie, if you didn't notice Jared
for
Leto.
like 30 seconds.
Just
okay,
the right
sorry.
amount.
It was a little longer,
was
but
just the right amount of Jared Leto.
It was,
to
but
get
then
his goodness, get his Gucci, and get out.
I just was so confused.
It was the character he was born to play.
Yeah.
It's true, and I believe you. I was just so confused because even though I'd never seen it, I'd seen all of the posters and stuff, and you've got Ryan Gosling there really big on one side and Harrison Ford really big on the other side, and then you've got Joy there and you have Jared Leto there, and then like the movie turns out to be like 99% Ryan Gosling, 25% Joy, and then like 30 something percent like Harrison Ford and 1% Jared Leto, and I'm like, what is going on here? I think Dave Bautista was in this movie more than Jared Leto was.
You know,
we can't forget Dave Bautista because
Sorry,
I
I
love
didn't put
that
him
part.
down.
I was
did
sad
too.
that he died. Okay, sorry.
What?
Go ahead.
Spoilers.
Go ahead.
Sorry, should we hit like a spoilers
Yeah.
and edit that out?
Oh, I've already been into so much.
Okay,
spoilers
true.
stuff.
So
There's
hopefully,
spoilers, everyone.
hopefully spoilers was already before. Like, I was so sad. I was like, oh yeah, Dave, like I heard Dave Bautista in this movie, sweet. And then he died and I was like, crap. I was like,
Yeah.
I wanted more of him.
That's the first time I've ever seen Dave Bautista without the green makeup on, because I don't watch any fighting sports stuff. I didn't know who he was until he got the role in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
And so when I saw him, when I went into the theaters and saw him without the green makeup and with, apparently he's wearing old makeup in
Purple
this.
makeup.
Oh, is it purple makeup? He's
Yeah.
green in the comics.
Oh, okay. That's
Sorry,
fair.
I
That's
get
fair.
confused. Anyway, he's wearing old makeup in this. They
Yeah.
aged him up in it, and I had never seen him before, and I was like surprised. I had no idea that's what he looked like in real life.
Dude, he's a ripped guy, man. Holy
He's
cow.
huge.
Also, the scene with Dave Bautista marks the first time in the movie of many times where Ryan Gosling's character goes through a wall. Just wanted to note that there.
True facts right there.
Okay, last thing before we get into the actual movie. Sorry, we're like a half hour in. Last thing, casting considerations. I found some that are kind of fun. Number one, Emily Blunt was considered for a role. They didn't get
Nothing
any farther
specific.
than nothing specific, because she was pregnant and so she couldn't do it. I don't know what she would have fit in. I love her so much, and I think she's like the queen of sci-fi, but I don't know who she would be. Like, I think everyone did great in this.
Quick plug for A Quiet Place 2.
Yeah. And then the only other casting considerations I could find, which I get all of my information pretty much on IMDb, so there's probably more out there, but IMDb said that there was 3 people considered for the role of Wallace before Jared Leto was cast. The first choice was David Bowie.
Did he
I'd see
die
that.
before this came out? David Bowie would have been so perfect though for this.
Yeah. I would say yes if I hadn't.
Well-
if I didn't know who Jared Leto was in real life, I would have said yes.
Yeah.
But like I said, this was the role Jared Leto was born to play. A man who thinks he's better than everyone and should be a god. Just that's from everything I've read and heard
Well,
about
he
Jared Leto.
does look like most Western descriptions and photos of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that too.
So, I mean,
Like I said,
I guess he has good reason to think that he is a god. He looks like the son of one, apparently.
So when David Bowie passed away and they figured out that they couldn't have him to play the role, they also considered Gary Oldman and Ed Harris before they settled on
Ed Harris would have not fit this. Well,
I love
actually,
him.
he would have done pretty good.
I think, yeah, I could see it.
Like, I can see it, but I think they made the right choice.
Me too.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
those are all much older castings than Jared
Yeah.
Leto.
That's true.
Which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, they
Well,
would.
the guy's supposed to be way old, right? Like the original creator. I wonder if he creates his own skin suits.
No, so Wallace is not. Okay, so we're getting into the
Yeah.
movie here.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So,
Oh, man. Trevor's getting excited.
does anyone else want to talk? I talk a lot. Okay, so
Well, no,
No.
just tell me what you gotta say.
I'm gonna set up the world here. So I can't remember the dates exactly, but in like
2049.
yeah, 2049 is when this one takes place, and I think it's the year 2022. There is a nuclear bomb that explodes over the city of Los Angeles.
Also, the original I think takes place in 2019.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So continue.
So yeah, a couple years later, a couple of replicants see the abuse that is happening to their people and decide they want to put a stop to it. And every replicant was built by this corporation called the Tyrell Corp. Tyrell dies in the first one. Spoilers for the first one, but he's the one who figured out how to make these replicants. So the replicants go, they explode this nuclear bomb above the city, and it blackouts the entire city. And they reference the movie a lot, the blackout. That's why there's no like digital records of anything before a certain date, because it was all like black, just erased because the replicants were being destroyed. They're being hunted down by Blade Runners, which is what Ryan Gosling's character is, which is what Deckard, Harrison Ford's character, was in the first one. So 2022, the bomb goes off, everything goes dark. Replicants are able to hide themselves a lot easier since they're not being tracked or have information about them anymore. Tyrell Corp, after this bomb goes off, gets blamed because it's the replicants that did it. They go bankrupt. And then this guy, Wallace, shows up, who has made a crap ton of money off of figuring out how to save the world from starvation. Because in this world, it's just like climate change is crazy. It snows in LA. San Diego's just a big trash dumping ground. There's way too many people, overcrowding
Basically
everywhere.
the same as now.
Yeah. Wallace Corp shows up. He makes a ton of money off of making synthetic food.
Doesn't he grow like grubs and crap and just a ton of
proteins?
Things? Yeah, proteins, synthetic proteins.
That's what Bautista is farming. Sorry.
Doesn't he grow garlic for himself, Bautista, out there? In the pot, that's what he's growing. That's what he's boiling is garlic. Sorry.
No, that's cool. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that at all.
He says it's garlic and it's for me. Do you want some? And then
then they get in their big fight and he gets thrown through a wall.
Yeah.
Such a cool scene. So just to wrap that up, Wallace Corp, who has so much money, decides that he wants to so we have an overcrowding on the planet, right? And so he buys out the Tyrell Corp. Replicant building is banned, and he gets it overturned with this new version of replicants that he creates, the Series 8. And the Series 8 can design them to live as long as they want, because the original replicants, the Series 6 I think they were, could only survive for like 4 years before they died. And the new Series 8 could, or I don't remember the numbers, but the new ones are the Series 8. They can live as long as they want. They can make them as intelligent or smart or dumb as they want. And what he wants to do is he sees the overcrowding and he recognizes there's a problem that we need to fix. So they've already started colonizing off planet, and he believes that in order to really save the world and save trillions of people, he needs to be able to make the replicants be able to procreate so that he can make enough replicants to send out into outer space to colonize space, because he sees these replicants as subspecies. And so he wants these subspecies that he can sacrifice to just send them out into space to colonize these places, so then he can send real people out there. So in his opinion, he's saving the world again. Any questions?
No. Oh, you got questions? That's pretty cool. I didn't know that, so I think that's cool. History, backstory.
Is that all stuff that you're like deriving from the prequels?
So there's 3 prologue shorts that you can watch. That they cover the blackout. One of them covers what is going on with Bautista's character, and the other one is
Dave Bautista.
Yeah, I can't remember what the
his brother
second
John
one was. But then also from the movie, you get ideas of it from the movie throughout what Wallace is talking about. Like there's just stuff you can pull in it. This is the second time I've seen it, and I noticed a lot more of this kind of stuff from the movie.
Well, that's
just kind of the idea of they're exploring.
Or maybe we'll talk about this more later, but that's also kind of what makes his character so interesting, is it's like he's not just completely evil. He has some realistic like motives for what he's trying to do that you're like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, but also like, I don't know, you're kind of a crazy guy.
Yeah.
So. It's like me with Thanos.
Well, the one scene that we really have with his character is just weird dialogue, beautiful light, and an ambiotic
yellow scene.
sack
I love that set piece.
that
that whole set piece.
destroys, drops a lady covered in fluids, and then a slit. That's the whole scene with some dialogue.
And it sets up this such like I love this movie. It sets up such a cool idea of like what, like I was talking about earlier, like what is humanity? Like, are these replicants just something that we've created, toys that we've created that we can treat as such and send off into space with, or like in that scene you're talking about when he drops him out of the girl out of the sack, this brand new replicant, and he just kills her right off the bat. Like,
Another
is
angel.
that killing like a human being, or is that killing like just a toy that he's created?
Well, does it count as killing then?
And that's what, yeah, exactly. Does it count as killing? And that's what this movie explores so much, is like, at what point does something become human or worth saving, or, you know, is it the ability to procreate? Is it the ability to have like human relationships,
like sentient feelings and
and if are they real sentient feelings, or is it something that we've kind of like programmed into them? You know, he obviously sees them as his little angels that are disposable.
Well, and that's what I think is so curious, right, about Kay. Like, right off the bat, we meet him. He's just going out to an assignment. And then there's, like, these weird things that, like, you almost think that he's just a weird guy. Like, not, like, a replicant at all.
Because they're keeping him at his baseline, right? They don't want him to think too much. So they keep him at... Because if they break their baseline test, then that means they're running wild, and they just put him down.
interlinked.
Also, shout out to, well, first Ryan Gosling, because, like, for one thing, this movie... I think he did an amazing job with it, and what's impressive to me is, like, this is a movie that I don't think of as a Ryan Gosling movie, but even though he's, like, the main role, like, he's just become such a, like, interesting character that I don't think of that actor, like, as that movie, even though it's him. But second reason, shout out to Ryan Gosling, is that whole baseline scene that Josh was referencing. He supposedly wrote it, and it's like an 8-minute long scene, and he just would recite it like by memory over and over.
Wow. And
like for the different shots that they did and all of that. But that was all Ryan Gosling. Like, he created that whole thing. Because I guess originally they had some other, like some aspect from a book or something that they were going to use for whatever it is.
Do androids dream of electric sheep?
Yeah.
That's the book it's based on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they pulled something from there.
Yeah, it very well could have. So I think it's represented perfectly and on purpose, the three perspectives on what a replicant is. And it's through, number one, like you were saying, Kay, who is a replicant, who is treated like garbage. And we can kind of see through his, his run, like what's going on. And then we also have Wallace, who we've discussed at length. He obviously sees them as toys. And then we also have Madam, the chief of police, who just straight up says, like, if the information that comes out, because they figure out that there is a child that was born from a replicant and maybe two replicants.
Maybe twins, right?
Yeah. This was one of the whole...
That's one of the things I love about this movie, too, is the original movie, there's so much debate on whether... We said spoilers, right?
Yeah.
There's so much debate on whether or not Harrison Ford's Agent Deckard is a replicant or not, and it's never been revealed. And then this movie still doesn't reveal it. And it's still like, is he not? No one will ever know. And that's like part of the theme too, is it's like, does it matter? Do we need to know? Like,
and they do such a good job at alluding to that idea again. Like when Deckard is having his conversation with Jared Leto. Gosh, I keep wanting to say Wayland, but that's Alien. Wallace. With Wallace, and Wallace says like something along the lines of like, are you a replicant? Like he hints to it, like, are you a replicant? Aren't you? Does it really matter at this point? He kind of says that exact same thing you just said. But so like from Madam, the chief of police, or whoever Kay is reporting to, her whole idea of what's going on is like, if the world finds out that two replicants, or even a replicant and a human, had a baby together, like, what does that mean for everything? Like she says in it, that's going to break the world. Like people aren't going to be okay with that. And we never really get to explore the consequences, because the way that it ends is so kind of like open-ended. I mean, no one really reveals anything, but it just opens up this idea. All throughout the movie, it's opening up these really cool sci-fi ideas on possible, outcomes of this whole situation.
Continue.
I've been talking a lot.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think that's really curious, right? Can I go down this avenue, right? We talked a little bit about the memories, like what's real, what's fake, and how essentially like Kay is living off of someone else's memories, and this is how he's going through, and he has essentially a point in the film where he has an identity crisis, like, what am I, who am I, and what do I do now? And what if I am a human? Do I have more purpose? What if I was born, I guess not human, but what if I was born of this and I have a greater purpose? What if? And he kind of like struggles with that. And we talked about that relationship with his like AI unit, whatever that visual effects girl was, I just forgot.
Joy.
That's like a really interesting thing, that like he as like a thing with a program that essentially lives off of ones and zeros and memories created by someone else who he goes and meets the architect or whatever they call her. Like, that is a cool thing where eventually he figures out that this was a farmed memory. This isn't my memory. And when she, scans and reads his mind and she gets that, like, that warm memory. I only use these memories at, like, certain times, right? Like, that's a beautiful thought, that there is someone out there who's creating these and only shares her memories with her real memories with specific things. I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, he has this identity crisis, and he goes full circle. Like, for me, like, he gets through, and he kind of, like, realizes this is what I have to work for and strive for, is a better in this way. I don't know if that makes sense or if that, like, goes along with anything.
So, do you guys think that Joy was just, like it said, like the purpose? Do you think she was just playing a role and telling him what he wanted to hear, or do you think she was actually, like, is she a smart enough artificial intelligence to be able to recognize these things in him, or does she just adapt and tell him what he wants to hear?
So are you asking if she's sentient?
What's the difference between a replicant and this hologram?
That's one of the things I think is really interesting about the Joy character is, like, I think that's the question that the filmmakers want you to think about, because if you think about her as, like, a product, like when you see her as, like, an advertisement, it's like the product may have been designed to, like, cater to whatever your desires are or whatever. Like, it's just like a yes to everything, because that might be the product that they're trying to sell. But then you're like, well, maybe she has become sentient by, like, being, like, living with Kay, and, like, who knows how smart or not smart her AI is or whatever. And it's like, that's another kind of open-ended, like you were talking about, these ideas that the movie puts into your head but doesn't really explain at any point, because it's just up to you as the viewer to be like, maybe she, did have feelings for him, or maybe that was just what she was designed to portray.
Mm-hmm. Tying it back to the memories, right? Like, are we our memories? Like, yeah, she started out as this artificial intelligence that had nothing, but they plant the artificial intelligence, or they plant memories in the replicants, like you were saying, Casey, because it makes them more human, and it makes them act, have more human experiences, have more human emotions and everything. So, like, does this artificial intelligence, even though it's zeros and ones, like, can it learn from the memories that it has and become its own person, or is it something special, like, in DNA? Like, another one, like you said, one of these ideas that, like, what makes a person a person? I keep bringing it back to this, but that's really what it is through the whole thing.
And that's the thing, is that you can never really know with Joy, because in a normal, like, movie, if there was a character like her where she was an AI, but she was able to learn and do things according to specifications and everything like that, I'd say no matter how much, like, you want to, like, love her or think that she's actually doing this because, you think that she's learned to love you, like, it's not, it's all program. And I think while I would still, like, lean towards that side, because of the world that we're in, where there are these replicants who are literally just manufactured humans, like, it throws the question further. Like, it puts it into, like, a paradox where it's like, well, it is just ones and zeros, but the replicants are there, and in this world they have, like, their real feelings and everything like that. And so where does the AI of Joy fall in with this?
Can I reference an old episode?
No.
What?
Oh, wait, yes.
I Am Mother.
Yeah.
So this kind of goes back
yeah.
a little bit into our discussion with I Am Mother, right? Did you watch that film by chance? It's a Netflix film.
I don't know that I did.
They live in a bunker.
Very good.
Daughter has something to do, but
Robot
essentially
Hilary Swank.
Yeah, Hilary Swank. I want Hilary Swank to be in the next Terminator movie so bad.
So bad.
But my thought with this is,
But
like,
then I got Mackenzie Davis. That's even better. Sorry, go on.
oh, I still haven't watched it. Sorry, Vince.
You'd like it. I think you would.
I probably would.
I think you would. Sorry, go on.
But my thought is like, right, we see what happens when a being who is, like, you're designed to create, essentially, whether it's a perfect system like Q from Tron, or whether it's like Mother from I Am Mother, right? Like, she destroyed other children. What if, for instance, they put these human
spoilers.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Hopefully you've already listened to that episode.
Hopefully, I open my mouth and insert my foot. Sorry. No, but the reality of it is, essentially, she reset the system so many times to create what she wanted. And maybe that's why they have to put these memories or these thoughts in there, so that they recognize that there is beauty in imperfection. Because if you are designing, this, and you're living through this system that is not perfect, like, humanity as a whole, we are not perfect. We are just Just a big old mess, a hot mess all the time.
There's a line in this movie that one of the replicants says that we become more human than humans because humans are so faulted.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, that's
I
perfect.
keep interrupting.
No, it's perfect. It adds to, like, what I'm saying is, like, they have to have this in order to relate. Otherwise, can you just imagine a being that's able to heal itself faster than you, able to live longer than you, and probably
Stronger
able to
than you.
outsmart you,
Able
like,
to
everything.
go through a wall like 5 times.
Yeah, has the ability to read faster, to compress information faster. If they didn't have that input into their life, which was the human memory or human emotion, what would they be? And like I said, I still would not hug a robot.
Would you hug a replicant?
Ooh, dun dun dun.
Because essentially they are robots, just biological robots.
We've put
Are
cases
you a
in the
replicant
paradox.
racist?
What?
A replicant racist?
Like, does it count as a race?
I mean, do they?
Well,
Or a species?
So many
it's
questions.
like you telling me, like, do I interact differently with one-armed people versus two-armed people? Because one-armed people avoid each other for the most part, and two-armed people are always hanging out. So, like, there's a question there too.
But one-armed and two-armed people hang out as well, though.
But
AK.
there is a thing where
us.
where one-armed people or people with disabilities are treated differently.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a very similar situation. I'm not trying to go into anything crazy, but, like, I don't think, like, as far as replicant goes, like, unless they told you, you wouldn't know probably if they were, like, out and wandering. But then again, maybe they just are so weird that you're like, you're a replicant.
No, that's the thing is like they are so human. They are able to blend in so well that's why they had to hire Blade Runners or create Blade Runners in the new one, because they decided that humans hunting replicants is wrong, but replicants hunting replicants is not.
So that's like my question. Sorry, I was just thinking about it. How does like everyone know then?
Who is a replicant?
Yeah. Are like required? Because like when he goes into his apartment and everything, everyone's jawing at him and they've got the stuff graffitied on his door.
So
it's like if you were a replicant, wouldn't you just go somewhere and like not tell people?
Exactly,
To try and blend in?
that's what Dave Bautista, his character, was doing. He was living under the radar for so long that no one could tell the difference unless they look under his eye, like where his number is. So the Blade Runners are trained to recognize specific things. So if they get a tip, they go to investigate. In the original movie, they had basically a lie detector where they set up this little camera thing and they measured the eyes movements and everything. But this new Wallace version of replicants, they all have their serial number underneath their eyeball. So it's really a guessing game. You know, starts as an assumption and then.
Well, and that's what your homegirl, was it Mackenzie
Davis.
Mackenzie Davis. That's what her character is doing as well. She's kind of under the radar, and she even says to Kay, like, "Are you gonna retire me?" And he's like, "What's your serial number?"
Yeah,
which is like one of my
Depends
favorite
what's your serial
interactions.
So good. What did she say to him? Oh, you don't like real girls. She's so good, guys. She's so good. So then the movie continues on into this whole detective work, you know, of Kay trying. He goes to Dave Bautista's house. He gets thrown through a wall. He kills him, and it sparks off this whole search for a child. Basically, they find the bones underneath the tree, which, by the way, Bautista was rich owning that tree in the middle of the place, because like that one wooden horse that he had was worth a ton of money, and then Bautista just has this tree in the middle of the field. That guy could have done whatever he wanted if he wasn't a replicant. It's just flying under the radar.
And that's like one of my favorite things about the Wallace set pieces is like the whole set is wood. It's all wood and water,
yeah.
which is like nowhere else in the whole world is there like wood and water like that from what we see.
That's true.
Showing off his money.
Wow, that's tight. I didn't even know that.
So it sets off this just like journey for Kay, trying to discover what is going on here. You know, is this baby really a thing? And he goes in and he discovers that there was, you know, he looks at the DNA, and when he looks it up, he discovers that the child died in, you know, as a child, and there was also a replicant that was created. And it sparks the whole idea that maybe he was the child, and so he goes looking for it. He goes out into San Diego, which, Trevor, you mentioned that there's a tie-in to the movie Soldier with Kurt Russell here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I think it's the original writer. Well, so both movies, I have it written down here. Let me just find the... Oh, man, where's it at?
I have this problem every time. I have so
All
many
right.
notes I can't find them.
So Hampton Fancher, I think that's how you say his name. He wrote the 1982 movie, and he wrote the 2049, but he also wrote all of the prequels. And basically, I looked at this dude's like career, and like he's only ever written for Blade Runner media, like all of the stuff. So he did the original, he did the new one, but one of the guys who did the original, who wasn't on the new one, he wrote the movie Soldier, featuring Kurt Russell, I think, as the main lead.
Classic 80s action.
And that guy, his name is David Peoples, and he has always claimed that that movie takes place in the Blade Runner world, but I don't think it's like ever been official that that's like connected to these movies. But then I think you were going to say they show some stuff that's from the Soldier movie in this new 2049.
Yeah, so it's the scene where he goes out to the junkyard in San Diego. Apparently that exact same area is shown in Soldier. So it's kind of the tie-in to that, which is cool.
There we go.
I loved this scene in the junkyard with the guy who like owns all the kids. It's the guy who's in The Walking Dead. I think he did such a good job playing this guy who's just been beaten down by society and found a way to survive. And he's been, like he says in it, he freaks out when he finds out that Kay is there and he's part of the law, and he's just like stumbling over his words and saying like, no, better men than you, tougher guys, bigger guys than you who's tried to shut me down. I'm legitimate. I can do this. But he's like scared because he knows at a drop of a dime he could lose everything he has.
And Kay bops him.
Gets him good. So anyway, he finds out, that he has a memory of this place. He finds the horse. We were led to believe like Kay is Deckard's kid, and then we finally meet Harrison Ford, Deckard. He finally tracks him down in Las Vegas.
That scene, wow. That scene where he finds the horse was just like the craziest thing to experience, like, because it's just like the music there and the emotion. It's like you're in that journey with Kay right there. You're like, what am I?
Oh yeah, when he like freaks out, like angry after he talks to the girl at the memory, like the memory place.
Yeah, doesn't he destroy the horse essentially, or he does something with the horse? I don't know, but
no, he ends up.
He gives it to Deckard.
Yeah, he gives it to Deckard. I just can't remember. Like something happens, and he's just losing it. Like you feel all the emotions going through.
Drops
him
off
at this
his
time.
baseline.
Yeah, he like goes crazy in the systems. Like, and you're way off base. Like, go home, get out of here. Like, done. And then eventually he just goes off grid and goes out to Las Vegas to probably the coolest way I could imagine Las Vegas being in the future. Just a gigantic sand dune.
You liked the outside?
A gigantic sand dune sex land.
A radioactive gigantic.
Yeah,
just got everything you need.
Literally, Imagine Dragons, aren't they from there? Radioactive, radioactive. Just dreaming the future. But no, really, like this scene where he breaks off, goes and finds Deckard, like
the orange scene.
The orange scene. It's good.
I also want to say I have in my notes from watching. I just wrote Han Solo - radioactive beekeeper ? Oh
yeah, because he has the bees going on out there, right?
Which then I was like, bees? Are the bees replicants? Are they? How are they living out there? How's he doing? How's
Same
he
with the
making
dog.
money?
Like, is the dog a replicant?
True.
Oh, and I love that line where he's like, he just looks at him and goes, "Is he real?" And he's like, "Why don't you ask him?" And then just walks away.
Old Harrison Ford is really just like, he's great. Like, just those one line
especially
clips.
when he wants to be there, and he
Yeah.
wanted to be in this one. Like
Really?
he was in there from the beginning when they showed him the script. He's like, this is a movie. This isn't Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. This is an actual movie.
Well, and so then
I didn't like The Rise of Skywalker.
we know, Vince. We know.
We know.
So when I was originally writing my summary in a tweet, I had the thing. It was like they dare you to like these are big main parts of it, and it was like this and this and this. And originally, because I was writing it while I was still watching the movie, and I put like the original movie where a strong male lead has like Harrison Ford daddy issues, like in reference to Star Wars. But then when he didn't end up being, I was like, oh, okay, well I got to take that part out.
So let's get to that. He meets who he thinks is his father, potentially his father, and then he ends up finding out that that's not the case. Josh, how did you not love this?
Also, how did you not like the fight with Elvis singing in the background.
Why?
Josh, why did you hate everything about it?
When did I ever say that I didn't like that?
I'm sorry, you
How
did. I
dare
just
you.
for some reason think you hate this whole movie tonight. I don't know why.
All right,
I apologize.
So don't take this the wrong way. The first time that I was watching the Elvis fight and where he's meeting Harrison Ford was where I paused it like the second time because I fell asleep. And like I said, don't take this the wrong way.
No, I get it.
I was extremely tired, and if you watch that part, it's very, very quiet when he's walking around and they're sort of looking for each other, and then there's all of a sudden one of them's there, and so it's like poof, and it's like super loud noise, or the music will all of a sudden come in the background. And so it was like I was literally dozing off and I didn't even know I'd be asleep, and then all of a sudden boom boom boom, and I'd be like, oh, I'm awake.
Oh, speaking of,
Sorry, everyone. I just did that.
The mic tip 1.
And so yeah, I like fell asleep and so like, ah, crap. And so then I went back, so I paused it, I went to bed, and then today when I was finishing the movie, I went back and I started there, like pretty much at the beginning when he's walking in to find Harrison Ford, and I watched it, and I did enjoy it. I thought it was like a really smart, but like, how do you say it? Sort of like a new like take on like it was still like a big sort of like action fight between these two characters, but it was kind of genius and subtle because they're in this radioactive place where no one exists, and so using silence so much in like a huge fight like this was super cool. I liked it.
Okay, now answer my question.
Which one was yours?
Did you like the twist at the end that Kay finds out that he's really just another replicant who happened to have those memories implanted in his head, and it turns out that Deckard, his daughter, the daughter of 2 replicants, has been underneath Wallace's nose the whole time because she's a freelancer for Wallace.
I thought it was like good and like not just, how can I say it? I like movies with twists and stuff. I'm all big like Shyamalan fan, whatever. I thought that it was good that it wasn't just like we found out partway through the movie there's this child, oh, it's Ryan Gosling, like of course, like the protagonist is gonna be this. So I did think that it was clever that it wasn't him. And I don't know, maybe I just like really didn't know enough or watch enough about the movie to really like care that much, because like when I found out at the end I was like, oh, it's her. I'm like, okay, like, it's not Ryan Gosling, it's her. Like that was about like all that it came to for me.
Okay.
I thought her story was kind of cool, especially where she is like she lives in there because she has a sickness, right? She became this, right? She has this disease, right? Allegedly.
That's what she's told. I'm wondering if they made that up
to protect her.
to protect her.
Ah,
Did they address that at all?
I don't think so. And I just realized shaking my head doesn't translate into audio. Sorry, guys. I'm over here shaking my head. Yes, no.
but
yeah,
like,
I don't
that's
think
really
they-
cool, right? Like I think that's an interesting thing where they have her contained in a space, and she's so close to the source that wants her that he misses her completely.
And she's so normal that no one can tell. And like, who's gonna check her? They don't want to get in and get diseased.
Well, she wouldn't have any sort of barcode or anything. Any serial
Oh
number.
yeah,
She's
of
born.
course. I didn't even. I don't know. I didn't.
How do they Sorry, I just must have missed it. How does Ryan Gosling know that it's her?
The
must have
memories.
missed that.
I think.
So they go into. So Ryan Gosling has that sex scene with the hologram and and
girl.
Mackenzie Davis, right?
Oh, I forgot.
And then Mackenzie Davis tracks him down. They go to Vegas, and Wallace's crazy replicant side chick blows up the place and leaves him there to die. And then Mackenzie Davis, I'm sorry, I don't know her name in this movie. Mackenzie Davis shows up and picks him up and takes her to basically the underground resistance of replicants who are gathering an army, getting ready to overthrow the government or something, being able, getting ready to get the rights that they deserve, that they believe they deserve. And then it turns out that lady with the one eye helped in the hiding of the child.
Oh, right. So she knows.
Yeah, so she knew
Very
Deckard. She knew Dave Bautista's character. Another cool thing is like the reason that Deckard is hiding is for the child. He knew that they were going to come looking for it at some point. And so he taught the replicants how to scramble the system, how to create a replicant with the same DNA, how to do all these things in order to hide them. And then he himself took the ultimate sacrifice of going into seclusion in the middle of a radioactive zone. So his child that's important to the future of whatever this future is going to become can live. Yeah.
So, question, and not in like, I know this sort of sounds like a conclusion question. Do you think that the next Blade Runner movie that they've talked about making is going to deal more with that underground replicant army and their rise to their revolution, supposedly?
I've heard that with the new movie that they're rumoring they might make, I've heard some people say that it's not going to be at all related to like the Deckard
Storyline.
Yeah. So
Villeneuve doesn't like sequels, even though
Here's what he said. He said, I'm not going to say his name, expressed interest in revisiting the universe in a different way, making something disconnected from both other movies instead of a sequel.
Oh, because he did say that he just loves like the Blade Runner universe and what it is and the ideas and the morals and the ethics of it all. So I guess that makes sense. I guess I didn't think that there needed to be something like that because that's like a really like basic thing. Like we're an oppressed group and we're going to rise and like revolt and everything like that. But I was like surprised.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. I was surprised that when they got to the place where it's like, oh, we have this rebellion and we're building underground and stuff. I was like, okay, that's pretty basic. But then nothing really happened with that. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't think they made enough money to make a sequel. I don't think that it got enough.
Especially with how much it costs.
Yeah.
Yeah, 150 million, 260.
It's really disappointing to me. But I don't think I would want to see that story. The replicants rising up story.
I think the movie that you're describing is Matrix 2 and 3.
Or like Hunger Games 3 or like
or
literally
War for the Planet of the Apes.
Just tons of these movies do the exact same thing. So maybe it's a good, like, not maybe. I think it was a good
Or
thing.
Detroit Become Human on PS4. If you want to see that, go play that game.
Oh, I actually know that game.
Except for those. Anyway,
No, I know what you're talking about.
I don't think I'd want to see that story. I think that this ended so beautifully and just established like an idea that doesn't need to be explored. I mean, it's there if they want to, but like I don't need it. Just the idea that it's there is like, oh, okay, that is a possibility that could happen after this, you know.
Yeah.
Or
it makes sense. Like that, with all these replicants in hiding, it would make sense that they already blew up a nuclear bomb above LA, you know. They're gonna do something.
Or we can create a mini series like Quentin Tarantino or Bong Joon-ho about their movies.
They are doing a miniseries.
I know, that's like, oh, for Blade Runner?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
they are? I did not know
it's
that.
being created by the same guys who did I want to say Cowboy Bebop, and it's an anime. They're gonna do an anime miniseries on Adult Swim.
Vince is
I'll watch it.
anime racist.
I try to get into anime. I liked the prequel anime that they did for this one, but it was only 10 minutes long.
Oh, and I will say, crap, I'm going to forget the name now. I think Spirited Away is one of the only anime movies I've ever watched, and it was incredible.
That's
It
a
was
great
amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, to wrap the story up, Deckard gets captured by Wallace. They bring in a CGI version of I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. Rachel is her character from the original.
Rachel.
Try to convince him to give away where the daughter is. He refuses to do it. And then Wallace decides to take him off planet where he plans to torture the hell out of him and make him talk.
Another just quick one of my favorite lines. He just turns to Wallace and goes, "Her eyes were green," and walks away. And you can just see his god complex like melt down.
All my work for nothing.
Someone's getting fired for sure. Who ordered the wrong color eyes? It's ridiculous.
Do their homework. Well, it makes sense because like all they have are like fractions after the blackout, so they wouldn't know all the details.
But he would. He's a
How
god.
Can you get the contour of someone's face though perfectly and not know the color of their eyes?
So he goes to take Deckard off planet. Kay comes over to save him. Actually, the lady
scene
from
is so good.
the lady from the uprising, the general lady, tells her to kill him because like if he's dead, then no one will be able. If he's dead, then they won't be able to trace where she is. They can continue with the uprising. The daughter will survive, and everything will be happy-go-lucky for the replicants. Kay decides. Sorry, Casey, did you want to talk about the scene?
You I love this scene. Like, Kay just comes in, right? And I don't know how to describe it exactly. Sorry, for some reason, my mind, I think I really had a stroke. I don't know what's going on. Like, this is why I haven't been speaking very much. But, like, this scene is amazing where, like, they're in the water suddenly and they're, like, fighting and he's, like, beating it out with with this chick and like fighting, and then all of a sudden the waves are coming, and I don't know.
For a movie
where did I go? I'm sorry.
No,
I think I really had a stroke.
I agree with you. For a movie that's so focused on the style and the world and the overcrowding and the lights and the everything, the flashiness of it, it ends in this fight scene in this darkness
this
of a beach just
weird,
off in the corner.
Dirty, watery beach that like everything. It looks like what I imagine the regular streets of this world looking like all the time. It's just like, this is the reality of this world. It's dark. It's cold. It's essentially like London in the 1700s when they're having a lot of coal dust everywhere.
But with way more people.
Yeah.
And a lot more neon.
Yes.
Well, I guess not in this spot.
But it was just beautiful, and it was done in such a way that it really... Yeah.
Just great.
It was great.
So Kay ends up stabbing her, saves Deckard, and basically says, Deckard, Wallace isn't gonna. He's gonna think you're dead. He's gonna think you drowned along with all these people. So let's go see your daughter.
He stabs her?
No, he chokes her out, man.
Sorry, she stabs him.
Holds her down under the water. Brutal.
Don't they
scene.
like?
Yeah,
I thought they like both shot each other and they both started bleeding. But then it's like, screw it, we're gonna have this fight anyway.
Because of replicants, they can take it.
Yeah,
but they can't.
Yeah, he just
breathe underwater. It turns out
suffocates her
in a brutal scene, like you said.
Why do replicants need oxygen?
Because they're basically human in every way.
Okay. Essentially, the way I understand it, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, guys, they essentially have like tissue that is grown, organs and everything like that, that's grown just like human tissue.
Yeah, there's no mechanical.
And so they're not essentially like robots, but they're not.
So they're built, but they're built just like tissue up.
They're like the monster that came out of the thing in Man of Steel. They're grown in those little pod hives thing, essentially.
Or like Ziploc bags hanging from Jared Leto's bedroom or something.
That one. That one.
Sorry, Wallace's bedroom.
Yikes.
And then it ends in this beautiful
Jared Leto's
moment.
Bedroom probably too.
And it ends in this, and it ends in this beautiful moment of Deckard finally being able to see his daughter, and we don't get to see that play out. It just leads us to this moment right before they get this time together, and it's beautiful. And I love this movie, and I want to know if we convinced you.
The moment of truth. I will say that you guys brought out a lot of stuff, like as far as the story goes, that I didn't recognize, like at first, as far as like how deep the plot goes, as far as like when it deals with the like a lot of the things about the replicants and their humanity and how they can be considered as important as humans or not as important as humans. And so that definitely does make me think deeper about it and say that it wasn't just like a simple action movie plot line. And so the movie can go from good to pretty great. I won't like go all the way, but I will say that there's like a lot more stuff in it that was like okay, like I see that. I don't think like it's incredible or anything, but it's you moved me a little bit. So like bravo everyone, good job.
We did it.
I'll take it, I guess.
Well, Vince,
it's a better movie than Terminator Dark Fate. Sorry, I'll stop bringing that up.
Yes, it is. And I haven't even seen Terminator Dark Fate. I'm sorry. I guess for you, sorry, I really think I had a stroke, but I forgot your name. Trevor, hey, how'd you feel about this movie overall? Like, if you were to give it, just a quick final thought, how would you feel about it? How do you feel about it?
I mean, I personally love this movie. I love on rewatches, you can just find so many things. There's so many like small details. Like it's exactly like that quote from the director was just, it's a huge budget art house film. Like it's just nothing was overlooked. Like there's just a craftsmanship to the movie that is amazing to me. And it's just a fun ride every time I watch it. And the twist holds up, I feel like, time after time, because it's just such an interesting, like, the plot is so interesting to me. So I love this movie. I'm a big nerd for it.
You told me that you had some, like, fun facts and stuff that you looked up, too. Is there anything on there that you want to bring up before
Fun fact. I did want to say...
We love fun facts.
This isn't really a fun fact, I guess, but one of my favorite things about movies in general is soundtracks. And this movie actually got nominated for BAFTA Best Film Music. And it's kind of interesting because they originally... So Denis Villeneuve, he worked on Arrival, or he was the director of Arrival. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but that's another favorite of mine. I love that one. But the composer he worked with on that movie was, and I'm going to butcher this, Johan Johansson, I think. And
Yeah, I think I've heard that name before.
Seems legit.
so he did Arrival, and originally Villeneuve wanted him to do this movie as well. And after he did some like preliminary stuff, they were like, no, it's just not quite like what we need compared to the original movie and compared to like the style of the movie. And so they brought in Hans Zimmer, and Hans Zimmer is like one of my favorite, like he's right up there with John Williams as just one of my favorite composers. And Hans Zimmer, I have this quote that he said, "We watched, and literally as we stopped watching, we decided on the palette, we decided this was not going to be an orchestral thing. The story spoke to us." And with that, they decided to use what the original composer from the 1982 movie used, which was a Yamaha CS80 synthesizer. And they decided to totally forego like traditional, just like Josh said, like traditional orchestral music. And like in that fight scene, they didn't even have any music. They just had the occasional blast of like random sound because they're just in silence in this ghost town fighting. So it's just a really interesting soundtrack. All of the stuff with anytime Wallace comes into play, there's that deep, I don't even know what you call it, like monk singing that comes up, and it's like, and I just imagine that that's what Jared Leto's house is like all the time, is like that wood and water and that monk singing. So yeah, just shout out to the soundtrack.
He's got the monk on retainer.
Yeah, basically.
Instead of a record player, he walks in a room and just like
Gives the monk the nod.
Yeah.
Nods at the monk.
starts singing.
I imagine dinner at his house is just like this
Could you
movie.
imagine?
Fun facts wise though, I'm trying to see here. Oh, I did write down. So the original baseline scene was supposed to be, as the script had it, was supposed to be a passage from Vladimir Nabokov's Pale Fire, which is a book. I think it's an older book, but it's actually the book that Joy asks Kay to read him when she's like, "Read me a book," and she picks up that book. That's the book that the baseline scene was supposed to be from. But they ended up going with Ryan Gosling's version, which was the 8-minute dialogue that he creates, which is the within cells interlinked, and all of that. Other than that, yeah, the movie was great. Some of my notes watching, I love all the defunct companies. I love that the cars are all Peugeots, which doesn't exist anymore. There's that giant Atari logo. There's a Soviet Union thing at some point.
There's a Pan Am one too.
Pan Am, yeah, like all these companies that don't exist anymore, and like huge,
I love it.
neon lights.
I love it.
Oh, and I wrote down Blade Runner pistol, mega cool.
Yeah.
That thing is way cool. Every time they fire off that pistol throughout the
blaster.
movie, it just like, oh, you can just feel it in your chest. Just
It's super dope. I know that. So Vince sent a little like YouTube video to us that I watched before we came here, and they found the original one because they had sold it at an auction. And so they found the original from some guy, and they brought it into like the studio or whatever, and they like looked at it, and they took a ton of like molds of it and everything like that, and they recreated the original one like bolt for bolt, they said. And I'm not gonna lie, that is pretty dope too. Like that's got to be high on the list of, we did like our favorite like movie like weapons at one point. Like that's got to be up there because it was super dope. Because it's just so, even though it's like just like a pistol, it's not like too over the top like pew pew, but it's just like it's also not like a regular gun, but it's just like that perfect happy medium. It's awesome.
And there's a couple scenes where in this movie, like there's just a couple where someone gets shot or they fire off like a shot, and every time that it happens, you're like, man, that looks like it hurt.
And there's a lot. They do a lot of like double shots or something, right? It's like doo-doo and doo-doo. So
Kids just
There's a
dropping
little shootout in the dump yard when they're like cutting him out of the car, and he picks up the guy and breaks his back, and then flips him around and shoots a couple other guys. So cool.
So good.
I also got to shout out the little drone built into his car. It's super cool.
Oh, that thing is sweet. He can just like point it and tell it what to do. I want that.
Yeah.
Like I've been training June to do my dog to do something similar, right? But
To jump out of your car and take some photos.
to jump out of my car, run around, make sure everything's safe, just to do stuff for me. And
so cool.
she's not quite there yet. I mount a GoPro on her, and mostly I just
There
get
you
pictures
go.
of her sniffing the ground. So here I am.
Anything else?
I think that's it. The last thing I had was just I love the twist. Like I've always heard that the ultimate test of a twist in a movie is that it holds up on rewatchings, and I feel like that stands true here. Like the scene with the doctor lady that builds the dreams. I'm not sure what her name is, but
I don't know it either.
the scene with her, the first time I saw the movie, I was fully on board that Kay was the child, and because that's how they set it up. And so in that scene where he flips out and he breaks a chair and he's all mad, you don't even really notice that she is just sobbing. And the first time I watched it, I was like, why is she sobbing? And then like now that you know the twist, you go back and you're like, oh, she knows that it's her, like, and that's her memory, and she knows that like she's the child he's looking for. And it's kind of cool that like she doesn't reveal that there, because she even says like it's illegal to use your own memories in memory creation or whatever. And so like she'd get in trouble for that, but also she'd be found out that she's the child, I guess. So
Do you think she knew she was the child?
actually, that's a good point. I don't know if she did.
I don't think she knows. I think she just thinks she's like a
Just a regular person.
normal human with not
Did she not have her memories?
What?
Did she not have her memories?
She has her own memories, but like she's creating all these other memories and all these other images for other folks. And you're not supposed to put them in, but at the same time, like, how does she know that I'm special? Because like the mom replicator's dead, you know, Rick Decker's gone, you know, and all she is probably been
told that she was
hustled around by probably people trying to keep her safe, but at the same time not letting her know, because, you know, I am the chosen one, you know, you can't really keep that a secret. Yeah, you'll have a little bit more of a bouncing your step down that. I don't know.
So we'll maybe have to. Also, I just wanted to mention we'll maybe have to revisit this episode, maybe put out some extra little bonus content in about a year and a half when we hit June 10th, 2021. Is it the date that's engraved on the bottom of the horse?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Is it, or 22? Is it 21? I think it's 21. It's before the blackout, so.
Right.
Well, I just want to say,
I just
want to wrap up my thoughts. I tried over and over and over to love the original Blade Runner, and I don't.
Which version?
I've watched 3 versions of it, and none of them clicked for me. I love the world that they built, but the movie overall, I just didn't like them as much as I wanted to. It never clicked. 2049 is easily on my top list of best sequels ever made, right up there with Terminator 2, and I didn't realize that until I watched it the second time. I love this movie. The end.
I will say I was like ready to like, and also maybe that's part of it why I didn't like love it as much, is because I was ready to be blown away, because if I remember right, this was both of your guys' favorite movie from 2017, and that meant that it beat out like Get Out, and it beat out, I don't know, Dunkirk's not like to throw that high up there, but like that's the only one I can remember right now. But I remember that 2017 was just a crazy year for movies. And so since both of you guys had this one at the top, I'm like, it must be like so good. It must be like mind-blowing, amazing and stuff. And so I was just like, maybe that played a part of it too. It was just the extremely high expectations led to a disappointment for me. But like I said, it is still...
It's exactly what I did to Terminator 2 with you.
Very great.
Is it? What's going to happen to Dark Fate now?
Just see it. I'm not going to bring it up again until you guys see it.
I'm
committing to that right now.
That.
Commit to watching it in the next month.
Doubt.
I'm in the same boat as Vince. I literally just about said ditto, as I always do, with like a solid closing statement. But what I really love, and I have to go back to my first experience watching this movie and experiencing this better version of a world that we wanted to know more about, that they showed on screen, right? They made it to where I felt that I was driving through a wasteland. They made it feel that there was a famine, that there was a real struggle within this society that is on the edge of extinction, you know? And it's a beautiful movie overall. And I still stand behind the fact that I agree, Vince, I love this movie. And this is one I can watch every couple of months and not get bored of. Like, that's how much I enjoy it, because the sound is good. If I watch it on my phone, if I watch it, you know, however, it's just so well done, in my opinion, that this is why it's my favorite movie of 2017, right? It's just like good, and I'm sad that it wasn't better received by people, like, being honest.
I was really surprised, because I always heard a lot about it from a lot of people, to see like how it did in theaters and how it grossed, because it even still has high critic scores and high audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes and different websites. And so I was like quite surprised that it didn't make as much money as I
understand it, because like you said, it's a long movie. You got to plan your whole night around. Like, I started at 9:00 and was up till midnight watching it, you know, after watching all the prologues and everything. I probably spent 4 hours watching this movie on Wednesday night. But like it's a commitment to get through it, and it's not something like, it's something you gotta think about if you take it like I did with Parasite, if you take it just at face value, you're not going to really get everything out of it, you know. Look into it a little bit more. There's a lot more depth than you'd expect. And again, I know you brought this up, Trevor, and I know you brought this up, Casey, but I haven't said it. The music in this is beautiful. Like that 80s synth is so good.
Just feels right. Just fits with the visuals.
I think a while ago, way before we did this podcast, I was on an episode of my friend's podcast, the Rogo Tours. He mentioned them sometimes.
Right.
And the episode I was on was like top Hans Zimmer scores.
Ooh.
And so we did like our top 5. And I hadn't seen Blade Runner, but I listened to some of it. And it didn't make it on my list, but I'm pretty sure I made it on to either one of the other 2 guys' lists. I made it on to either Chad or Jake's list, like pretty high, I think. So like that should say, with all this amazing stuff he does, that it's really good.
I only have one question about that. Was the Modern Warfare 2 soundtrack on there?
The thing is that I saw it and I like listened to it because I'd always played Modern Warfare 2, but I was like, I think we're going more like movie like ones here. But no, it's really good. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I grew up playing Modern Warfare 2 like over at my buddy's house and stuff, and I never knew. And then I see like, what the heck? Like Hans Zimmer did this? Like, he does the most random movies like that you would never know, and games and stuff like that.
So good.
Money's money. We got to make dough. You can produce wherever you need to.
Last thing I'm going to say is I give it 2 Ryan Goslings blasting through walls out of 2.
2 walls for 2.
That was true. That was very unexpected. Like when that happened. I'm sorry. When that happened.
Oh no, I was shaking.
Oh no, I thought you were like, come on,
I was
wrap
like
it up.
pounding him through the wall. That's what was happening. Dave Bautista.
I got scared for a sec. I was like, dang.
Well, there's that, but then later Harrison Ford comes running around the corner and then just out of nowhere,
shuts the door
right through the wall.
Well, because that's what I was talking about. That's why I was so surprised, because like Harrison Ford's running, and you know, I'm expecting that like normal like dun dun dun, and then the door like blasts open, right? And it doesn't. He shuts it, starts running, and then almost immediately, boom! Ryan Gosling's through the wall, and you're just like, what the heck?
And you're like, oh yeah, he's a robot.
Like I forgot.
But
we're
is
supposed
he a
to
robot?
Dun,
Dun dun dun.
Our whole topics of conversation tonight.
We're
revisited.
We're going in a circle now, guys. Well, thank
We
you.
end it where it began. All right, go ahead.
Where are we ending it?
With is Ryan Gosling an artificial robot or not? Is he human or not? Doesn't matter. End this thing.
All right. End it. Oh, I'm ending it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. And Trevor, thank you so much for joining us. It was fun to have you. I'm not going to forget your name now because I'm going to listen to this as an edit, and I'll get it 3 times and beyond.
It's going to be like you talking and all of a sudden quiet. Trevor. And then who's saying it?
Yeah, probably. But Trevor, thank you so much for making the commute down here and joining us. It was a lot of fun. It was cool to kind of have your perspective. So same as all of our other guests, you have an open door to coming back down and joining us. If you have a movie you want us to talk about and you want to join us in conversation with, please let us know. We would love to have you back again. And in reality, thank you so much for tuning in, as always, everyone, for listening to us ramble, for me to forget things, and really just for us to have a good time talking about movies. So once again, as we always have, I've said once again like 4 times in this monologue here, but if you want to check us out, find us on Instagram, Twitter, our website, but also anywhere podcasts can be listened to. So thanks again for tuning in to the Pause, Rewind, Play podcast, and we'll see you next time.